We spoke about advice for early entrepreneurs. Now let's talk about some advice once you started scaling, once you started doing all of these cool things and hitting these big goals. What advice did you wish you knew this time?
Stay laser focused on one thing. See what's going to be making you the most amount of money with the least amount of energy. And I think I just to go back to the beginner entrepreneur, beginner and middle, and maybe even definitely beginner, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 gigs going on. You're not going to have just that business. I run into so many entrepreneurs that are like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. I'm only doing this and I'm not making money. Well, you need to have at least 1 or 2 other work things that you're doing to supplement until you get to that point where your business is profitable.
It is that magical time of year in Tampa Bay where we have Gasparilla approaching, and as we do, we are mixing in another Incubator bonus series episode. If you listened to the show last year, you noticed, I think it was every Sunday, I had someone I met in the Incubator program at the Lowth Center at University of Tampa, whether it was a co-participant, a mentor, a CEO there, someone at the center, everything in between. And this year, I haven't gotten a chance to bring as many Spartans on, but we've got a few. And this week, Adrienne is absolutely crushing it from her TV show. Now behind the scenes, we're talking setting goals now into the mega millions. We're going to learn a lot today. Thank you so much for joining us here on That Entrepreneur Show.
Arg, ahoy, matey! I should have had my pirate hat on.
I love the intro. Thank you for giving us some holiday spirit as
Ahoy
Christmas
there!
and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa have all passed. Here we are celebrating the Gasparilla holiday, where I highlight a different Florida owned business with an experienced founder to help promote the holiday here in Tampa. Since I moved down in 2009, it has certainly progressed over the years, and now I get to sit back, relax a little before the holiday to record some fun shows. And today, as I mentioned, she is in the incubator program this year, up to a lot of great work. And before we dive in, I want to show some love to our show sponsors today. Head to johnford.com to check out his Empathy app and his card set. We have Coming Alive podcast production for all things podcasting, and TampaCW.com for Tampa counseling and wellness. But today, you know how it goes, Adrienne. She's a listener. We start at the beginning, then we get into today, and then what's next to come. Why did you want to become an entrepreneur at first?
It pretty much happened by default, Vincent. It really did. I was in a car accident and received a TBI and then could no longer think and function the way that I had been. And it was just, okay, I can still personal chef because it permits me to know my limits. I was able to, you recognize your limits, know where your barriers are, recognize that and know, okay, so I can just pace myself this way. And that way I don't go screaming and losing it, not being able to speak properly and lose that train of thought and not be able to function and not being married. And at that time I had young children, so you can't lose it on them.
It's great that you're able to recognize, and as of course someone else with a TBI or the traumatic brain injury, you have to find what works for you and really hone in and leverage that. And she's doing an absolutely fantastic job. And I hope that is inspiration for everyone tuning in, where, hey, just because it's not working one way does not mean you have to forego your entire passion and dream. Because as I teased earlier, she has a TV show with this passion, this career. Not only is she shooting for very high financial goals, but she's doing what she loves on a different level. Let's talk about first. Did you ever see yourself having a show as a kid?
Yes.
You did. Let's talk about
Yes.
it.
Yes, that's exactly. It was one of those, okay, kids are grown now, it's time to live my dream. It's time to, make that dream a reality. I'm a dreamer, but I'm a reality person. So yeah, dating myself back in the 70s, there was this movie called Who's Killing the Great Chefs of Europe.
Okay.
And it was one of those really bad 70s murder mystery drama kind of things like Clue. And there was a pastry chef that was killed by this dessert called a bomb, which is like
Okay.
layers of like a whipped cream, ice cream kind of dessert. And it blew up. And I'm like, I want to be a chef and I want to be a pastry chef. That changed because being a pastry chef requires science and chemistry. And in college, I'm trying to make this short. I thought I was going to be a pharmacist and decided that pharmacy wasn't for me. I just remember sitting in my physics class and thinking there's no way that I'm going to be able to sit with these people for the next 5 years, just because like personality wise things weren't meshing. Not there's anything wrong with everything. And so then I just kind of went on a quest trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and remembered that I wanted to be a chef.
And
So,
you're
but yeah,
you're living it out now. I see you
the
smiling here, and
dream.
anyone who's ever met you in person also sees that smile. What was the hardest part for you? It can be TBI included or not in your answer, but going from that bigger environment, working with a big team in this public setting, to now running your own show, having to wear all the hats.
Vincent, I loved working in restaurants. I could live, breathe, and die restaurants. Every essence of it, from kitchen to the front of the house to I ran a melting pot down in Fort Myers. I cooked in Hawaii and Seattle, opened restaurants, private corporate franchise hotels, hospitals. I don't know that, I mean, working on your own gives you a lot of freedom, right? You also have to be disciplined. Not having a team anymore, I don't know that it really bothered me, but what I have learned is that many people don't like that, and many people need a team around them, and many people need the outside structure. I don't know if I can find that right word, just to be able to work and function and focus and move to their next highest level.
I love that. And now
Does that
you're,
answer the question right?
of course, it's going to look different for everyone, that answer. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, where there's no blueprint, there's no textbook. You just have to take a bunch of data points and align them with yourself. Now, we talked about hardest parts of the transition to entrepreneurship. What about favorite parts of being an entrepreneur?
I think the favorite part is being able to have my own schedule and not be accountable to anybody. And that's the interesting part, is now moving forward and learning more about the importance of that business plan and going through a class, learning about the entire structure of it, is that now I need to build a team. Because if we're going for that 10 million and beyond, you have to have a team. And so now it's a matter of picking and choosing, what parts I need as part of my team. And I think it might be even, so this is like a more difficult part, is like integrating back into having a team and learning proper conversation.
Yes, I mean, interacting with team members is certainly a skill, and just letting go is the hardest part. I mean, for me, it was just letting go of my emails and then little things. And I share this often now when it does come up. All of the activities that I was spending my full day on, pretty much right around the start of the program. Big shout out to the Lowth Center. I don't do it all anymore. I'm very fortunate now to have built a team out to 15 members outside of myself, and all of that comes from trusting yourself. Okay, not every hire is going to be perfect, especially in the beginning where you're forcing things, maybe, right? You need this to happen, or you have a client even on the other side. I just had let go of my first client where you forcing these things, these relationships to make it work now. But if entrepreneurship has taught me anything, it's you have to be patient. And now that's what really happened. I waited for the right fits to align. And then, like you're talking about now, building the right team around you, it makes all the difference because we can't do it on our own. Thank you for bringing that up and highlighting the importance of team building. I wanted to add my personal take on there too. We've touched on a lot and we're still only getting started. Do you see yourself expanding in any ways with your business other than the new show, or what do we see coming next this year?
The biggest expansion is going to be my show. Yeah, so my first season I released last year on RHSTV, which is a streaming app that you can get for free. It's called Healthy Meals in Minutes. It's an 8 episode season, and in 30 minutes or less, I'm teaching you how to make an entire meal for four with a protein and two veggies. I call it bringing you back into the kitchen and bringing joy into your cooking.
Love
I
that.
make all sorts of mistakes. It's Julia Childs. It revisited in 2024 because I overcrowd pans. I almost burn my oil. I teach people how to recoup from mistakes and know that that meal is still going to taste great. So my big plans is really to get this show maybe 3 seasons a year, and then
Okay.
of course we're going to have the cooking lines and all that other stuff coming out, the Food Whisperer, blah blah blah. That's my plans for 2025 is a minimum of 2 more seasons, maybe 3.
Well, I'm sure you'll hit that goal and then end up having 5 or 6, but I look forward to seeing where it all plays out. Everyone, stick around to the end of the show. We're going to find her contact info. We're going to revisit where to find that show. But now, I'd love to ask for entrepreneurs. I know you're an experienced entrepreneur, so you can give us a multi-pronged answer here. What advice do you have for early stage entrepreneurs? Something you wish you knew when you were getting started?
Advice for the beginning entrepreneur: one, you need to be financially savvy. Whatever business you're going into, you truly need to know what your bottom line is going to be. So whether it's taking financial literacy classes, getting with what the SBDC Center that offers all the courses on how to create that, have a clear business plan. Again, because that was I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned with the Spartan Incubator right now is, of course, you have a business, of course, you want it to be profitable. You're really looking for that 10 million to sell it. Because, like for example, my parents had a deli that was their retirement business. Was that supposed to be mine and my sister's legacy to carry on? I don't know. But again, they had to sell it because in college they wanted us to be moving on to move forward, and it was time for them to completely retire because business had gotten to be too much. Could one of us have bought the business and carried it over? Do you want your business to be a legacy for your family, or do you like what I'm going to call it turn and burn in the restaurant industry, right? If you're
Yeah.
waiting tables, turn and burn, right? Do you want to turn and burn your business and build and get another one going? Are you the serial entrepreneur, or is this something that you want to? So yeah, those are the things you really need to start thinking about. It's not just being your own boss, right? That's like the last thing on your list in owning your own business, because you're your boss, you're your employee, you're your accountant.
And that's the thing. You're wearing every single hat until you fortunately can. I was a very delayed to getting where I am. I did my speech for my MBA in 2015, few years with one foot in, one foot out, focusing on all of the day-to-day things that I really should have outsourced. But when you're like me and you're a solopreneur with no budget, I understand you can't outsource until you can't. But eventually, it felt good to start with the VA and then doing more and more, and you attract better talent who believes in your mission as a CEO. Now to have audio editors, video editors, the bloggers, everything is starting to be a dream come true. And now I see with your show, you are already heading that marks, and I can't wait to see what you accomplish. Still, with half the program still to go, she's just getting started here. We spoke about advice for early entrepreneurs. Now let's talk about some advice once you started scaling, once you started doing all of these cool things and hitting these big goals. What advice did you wish you knew this time?
Stay laser focused on one thing. See what's going to be making you the most amount of money with the least amount of energy. And I think, I just to go back to the beginner entrepreneur, beginner and middle, and maybe even definitely beginner, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 gigs going on. You're not going to have just that business. I run into so many entrepreneurs that are like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. I'm only doing this and I'm not making money. Well, you need to have at least 1 or 2 other work things that you're doing to supplement until you get to that point where your business is profitable. And I think that's where the business plan, that's where coaching and mentoring comes in, all of that. And you have to stay laser focused. For example, I'm getting thrown at me, well, of course you have your chefware line and you have your cookware line, and well, chicken before the egg. And you can't really sell the cookware line until you get a name for yourself. So what good is it to have it? It's like, well, if I do that, then I'll make money. You're not really going to make money on something that nobody even knows who you are as to why they would want to be using what you're using, kind of deal. And yeah, so you need to stay laser focused and discern what's going to make you the money with the least amount of energy.
Yeah, we all want it right now, the big end goals, and sometimes we jump ahead and not waste time, but misuse time. I can certainly resonate with that, where we could have been doing different things now to get me to that goal quicker. Everyone, I challenge you to break down that big, scary goal into manageable steps, small steps where you can make moves every day and actionable steps towards that goal. What do you look forward to most now outside of the office? Because I want to also start bringing more light to this show where it's not like me who has faced burnout many times until I started learning the warning signs and recognizing it, where I had to work 7 days a week and do all these things. Now, this year, big priority for me is to not do that, right? Spend time with people I care about and all those things. What's on your agenda outside the office?
Outside the office, well, in the morning, I think we've discussed this together, exercise. That's how I start my day. And that's what clears my head. Maybe it's only 10 or 15 minutes of stretching and watching a YouTube video, getting that breath work in, getting that focus going. I mean, yes, you have the benefit of exercise, which we all need to do to keep strong, but it has so much to do with cognitive that if I don't do it, I'm really missing a step in my day. Socially, again, like you said, it's more about now putting in the calendar, making plans, and getting together with friends and family and people you enjoy being with, not just networking events that you need to be going to in order to strategically meet whoever it is that's going to help you, but that you can also help them. So it's also about giving to others and making sure that it isn't about me, 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 me. And because we all know those kind of people,
Mhm.
they're out there. And surrounding yourself with the right people, surrounding myself with a positive environment. I have my 40-year high school reunion coming up this summer. So that I think I'm going to make a vacation.
I think you should certainly do that. It's always
Yeah.
great to get some nostalgia, see some people that you haven't seen in years, and I'm starting to enjoy that more and more. I'm class of 2009. I think we just had the 15. I didn't attend, but we recently had it. I
Yeah.
love it. We talked about a lot. Every stage in entrepreneurship, we talked about chasing your big goals and not stopping till you get them. And now, from one season, she's got her eyes set on a handful. So now, before we get the contact info, if you could choose any entrepreneur, dead or alive, to speak with, pick their brain, who would you choose?
It's interesting. I think I may just like go for like one of the big power people like Elon Musk, because I was listening to his book is out now, and someone was saying that it was really interesting because he's had so many trials and made so many mistakes and how far he's come with everything that he's done. And I'm like, that'd be kind of interesting to be able to pick his brain on something like that, because he has just such the outside the box kind of mentality, which both of us have, because you have to pivot. You have to know how to pivot in life and accept that pivot as being a really good thing. So to just learn, I think that would be kind of cool. I don't
Would
even
you,
know what I would ask. I'm really bad about questions, so I would have to kind of sit there and be like, well, why did you do this? Or how did you do that?
would you meet on planet Earth or in space?
Earth, I don't want to be out in space because I'm one of those that likes to have an exit plan and know that you can get your feet on the ground. So it's kind of like the same thing I'm like, I don't know that I could do a cruise because I'm going to be sitting on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Oh man,
So if
I
something
can't argue
happens,
that.
then I don't have an exit plan to get out of there safely.
Safe than sorry, and of course, having a conversation with him would change the game. Be sure to tag him when the episode goes live. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join that entrepreneur show during our 2025 Gasparilla Overload with a sprinkle of a Lowth Bonus Center episode. Big shout out to the Lowth Center one more time. Josh, Bert, Brandon, Monica, everyone, Dr. White in the center. Where can we find you online, of course, and your show?
You can find me on Instagram under I am the Food Whisperer, TikTok, I am the Food Whisperer, Facebook, the Food Whisperer. YouTube is the Food Whisperer 813. And then it's the foodwhisperer.info if you want to find me on my website. And
All
of
right.
course, with that entrepreneur show on the podcast.
Yes. Yes. Another all-star guest, as you could tell by her testimonial today. I can't thank you enough for being one of the
Thank you,
Spartans
Vincent.
to join me this year. I always love showing love to the program. I started out as a 17-year-old kid at the Howard Johnson at University of Tampa with no dorm rooms available. And then last year, of course, from the Finance MBA, I had to go back again and take part in the amazing incubator program. Giving them one more plug, if you really want to get your stuff in line, get all of the missing pieces together that have prevented you from scaling, definitely check them out online and apply for their program. A lot of people who care about what your future looks like, excuse me, there. The show is at That Entrepreneur Show on all podcast platforms. Please rate, subscribe, like the show so others can find our conversation a little easier. I am at Vincent A. Lancy on all social media, YouTube, and my website is vincentalancy.com. One more spotlight for our show sponsors, johnford.com, tampacw.com, and comingalivepodcastproduction.com. With that, we are signing off. To Tampa people getting ready for the holiday in a few days. Everyone, please be safe and make some memories. Thank you, Adrienne.
Thank you, Vincent. Really appreciate it.